December 5, 1945, 5 U.S. Navy bombers, known as Flight 19, disappeared without a trace while on a routine training mission over the Bermuda Triangle, an area already infamous for its strange and unexplained disappearances. The squadron, consisting of the National Air Station, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for what was supposed to be a standard navigation training exercise. However, the mission quickly turned into a terrifying and baffling mystery that continues to haunt aviation enthusiasts and investigators to this day. The disappearance of Flight 19, along with the subsequent loss of a rescue plane, left the Navy, the public, and the families of the missing airmen grappling with the question, what happened to the squadron? Despite extensive search efforts, no wreckage was found, and no definitive explanation for the incident has ever been provided. The loss of Flight 19 remains one of the most enduring mysteries in aviation history. The fateful mission. Flight 19 was scheduled to depart from Naval Air Station Fort Lauderdale at approximately 2:10 p.m. on December 3, 1945. The mission was a routine training exercise for 5 experienced pilots, all of whom were flying TBF Avengers. The squadron's mission was to fly east for a 3-hour navigation training session involving a simulated attack on a ship. The flight plan was straightforward: head out from Fort Lauderdale, fly east over the Atlantic Ocean, then turn north to a designated target area before returning to base. The leader of the squadron was Lieutenant Charles Taylor, a highly experienced and well-regarded pilot. He had a considerable amount of flight time, including combat missions during World War II. Despite his experience, Flight 19's mission would prove to be one of the most mysterious and perplexing aviation incidents of the 20th century. The growing confusion. From the very beginning of the mission, things began to go wrong. As the squadron flew over the open ocean, Lieutenant Taylor began to experience navigational problems. He reported to his superior officers that the compass on his aircraft was malfunctioning, leaving him unable to determine his direction. Over time, this problem became more severe, and Taylor's radio transmissions indicated that the squadron was completely lost. He began to express confusion about their location and requested help in finding their bearings. Taylor's voice grew increasingly frantic as the hours passed. According to the communications, he seemed to believe that the squadron had flown far off course and was somewhere over the Gulf of Mexico. However, the records of the aircraft's positions showed that the planes were actually still over the Atlantic Ocean, far from the Gulf of Mexico. Taylor's confusion, combined with the malfunctioning equipment, made the situation even more dire. His crew followed his lead, unsure of their exact location and growing more desperate. In a desperate attempt to gain clarity, Taylor asked his squadron to fly in different directions, but the more they tried to correct their path, the more disoriented they became. Some reports suggest that Taylor believed they were flying over the Florida Keys, while others indicate that the squadron might have thought they were over the Gulf Coast of Florida. Despite the training they had received, none of the pilots were able to reorient themselves, which led to an increasingly erratic flight path. The final transmissions. As the situation worsened, Lieutenant Taylor's radio transmissions became more incoherent. At one point, he reported that he had seen land, but the land he described did not match any known islands or coastlines in the region. This added to the confusion, as the squadron was still in open water, far from any land. Taylor's repeated requests for help were met with little clarity, and no one seemed to have any definitive answers about where the squadron might be. In the final hours of the flight, Taylor attempted to keep the squadron together even as their fuel supplies dwindled. He instructed the pilots to fly on a heading of 270 degrees, which he believed would take them back to base. Unfortunately, this path would have taken them further away from their intended destination, into the open ocean, and beyond their fuel range. The last communication from Flight 19 occurred at 5:15 p.m. when Taylor radioed, "We are entering white water. Nothing seems right. We don't know where we are. The water is green, no land." This final transmission was chilling, as it indicated that the squadron was likely in a dire situation, out of fuel and lost over the vast expanse of the ocean. The search and the loss of the rescue plane. In response to Flight 19's distress signals, the U.S. Navy quickly mobilized a search and rescue operation. A Martin PBM Mariner seaplane with a crew of 13 men was sent out to search for the missing squadron. The PBM Mariner took off from Fort Lauderdale at approximately 7:27 p.m., tasked with locating and rescuing the lost airmen. However, within a short time of its departure, the Mariner also disappeared. The last known transmission from the rescue plane reported a possible explosion in the sky, but the plane was never seen again. What caused the explosion remains a mystery, but it is believed that the seaplane may have exploded in mid-air. More often than not, the precipice also revealed the mysterious claims it had significant air raids. The loss of the Mariner compounded the tragedy, as the search for Flight 19 had now resulted in yet another aircraft and crew being lost. Search efforts for both Flight 19 and the Mariner were extensive, involving dozens of ships and aircraft, yet no wreckage was ever found. Despite searching an area that spanned thousands of square miles, no debris or bodies were recovered from either the squadron or the rescue plane. The Navy concluded that the cause of the disappearances could not be determined, and the case was officially closed without any answers. Theories and speculation. The disappearance of Flight 19 has led to a wide range of theories, some more grounded in reality than others. One common theory suggests that Lieutenant Taylor and his squadron became disoriented due to the compass malfunctions and lost their bearings. As the pilots struggled to regain their orientation, they may have flown further and further off course, eventually running out of fuel and crashing into the ocean. Another theory posits that the pilots might have been affected by some kind of mechanical failure, either in their aircraft or in the radio equipment, which could have contributed to the confusion and disorientation. Some have even speculated that the men of Flight 19 fell victim to some kind of environmental anomaly, such as a magnetic disturbance, which could have interfered with nature's natural equipment. The most enduring theory, however, involves the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle, an area roughly defined by points in Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, has become infamous for a series of unexplained disappearances of aircraft and ships over the years. While there is no definitive evidence to support this theory, the mystery of Flight 19 has only fueled the idea that something strange and unexplainable is at work in the region. However, skeptics point out that the Bermuda Triangle theory is more of a myth than reality, and that most of the disappearances in the area have logical explanations. Legacy and conclusion. The disappearance of Flight 19 remains one of the most enduring mysteries in aviation history. The 5 bombers and the 14 airmen lost that day are often remembered as victims of the sea and the unknown. The incident has become a part of popular culture, with countless books, documentaries, and films speculating about what happened to the squadron. The story of Flight 19 also symbolizes the uncertainty and peril of early flight training, especially in an era when navigational technology was far less reliable than it is today. The Navy's investigation into the disappearances, though thorough, could not provide any conclusive answers. The loss of Flight 19, coupled with the loss of the rescue plane, remains an open question that has never been answered. Even today, some aviation enthusiasts, researchers, and conspiracy theorists continue to search for answers, hoping to uncover what really happened to the men of Flight 19. Ultimately, the mystery of Flight 19 is a testament to the dangers of aviation during a time of rapid technological advancement. Despite the men's skill and experience, they were unable to overcome the challenges they faced, and their final moments remain shrouded in mystery. The story of Flight 19 continues to capture the imagination of those who wonder what happened to the lost squadron, and if they were ever be found.